Hello children, today I want to teach you a learning method that can solve all your comprehension and all your retention problems. If you can understand the technique I want to teach you today, trust me, 70% of your learning problems, of your comprehension problems, of your information retention problems will be solved. So are you ready to go on this journey with me? So what method are we talking about here today? It is called the Pomodoro technique. Can you say after me? Pomodoro technique. Yes, Pomodoro. I'm going to teach you what Pomodoro is all about. I'll let you know why it is called Pomodoro. Because once you know the reason why it's called Pomodoro, it will be easier for you to remember it. And then once you are able to remember it, of course, you'll be able to practice it. I'm going to teach you how it works, the benefits of the technique, and then how the brain learns. Because if you understand better how your brain learns, then it is easier for you to know how your Pomodoro technique fuses into your brain learning pattern. I'm going to teach you how you can align your Pomodoro with your brain functioning, the science behind the Pomodoro technique, these challenges that you face. So what challenges are you going to face, or could you face by the time you begin to put this technique into practice? And then how can you solve these challenges? I'm going to explain all of that to you. And then I'm going to show you how you can start putting your Pomodoro into practice right from now. And all of this, I'm going to do it for you within, let's say, about 15 minutes. So I want you to stay tuned and watch this video to the end, because trust me, it's going to solve a whole lot of your comprehension and your information retention problems. So let's answer the question, what is the Pomodoro technique? Now, it is a time management method designed by a particular scientist in the 1980s. So it's not something that is very, very old. It is something that came into practice after people had sat down to look at how our brain works. And then they have decided to say, okay, fine, if the brain works this particular way, then if we have a reading technique or a study technique that fuses into or that aligns into how our brain works, then it's going to be very effective, right? And then what does it do? It breaks your learning into periods of 25 minutes of focused learning and then 5 minutes of breaks. 25 minutes of focused learning, 5 minutes of breaks. And then it also advises that when you are learning something over a period of time, make sure you don't have more than 4 Pomodoros. So what that means is 25 minutes of learning, focused learning, 5 minutes of break, 25 minutes of focused learning, 5 minutes of break, then 25 minutes of focused learning, 5 minutes of break, 25 minutes of focused learning, then you have a lengthy brain period. Because you are taking 4 Pomodoros, you are taking 3 short breaks, and then the 4th break should be a longer one to actually help you consolidate your learning further, right? So how it works is very simple. Read, study, digest your every information digestible in 25 minutes. When you have done that, take 5 minutes to rest, right? Then after you have rested for 5 minutes, go back, study again for another 25 minutes. And then when you are done with that, go back to resting for 5 minutes. This method works for you whether you are in the primary school or you are in the secondary school, or even if you're in the university. It works for you because your brain functions the same way. So there's a rhythm the brain follows. There's a rhythm it follows. And that is what this learning technique is patterned after. So they took a study of how the brain works. They designed something that aligns with it. So, fun fact, what is called a pomodoro? In Italian language, pomodoro means tomato. Can you imagine? So, what is the correlation between tomatoes and study? The simple correlation between the word pomodoro, tomato, and study is the fact that the guy who came up with this, that is Francesco, that's his name. The Francesco used a kind of clock that looks like a tomato. So they used it to tag the learning technique that he designed. Simple, right? So simple. That is why it is a fun fact, right? Good. So how it works, choose a task. So for example, you are studying a particular topic. Choose a part of that topic. Set a timer for 25 minutes. Whatever you have chosen to study in that 25 minutes, study it. Do only that thing for 25 minutes. Only that thing. Don't multitask. Do only that thing for 25 minutes and then take a 5 minutes break. Do that 4 different times. So you have 4 Pomodoros, 3 short breaks, and after the fourth time, take a longer break. So your short break is 5 minutes, and then your longer break can be between 15 to 30 minutes, depending on you. And I'm going to guide you on how to go about it. So what are the benefits of Pomodoro technique? Why is it that as a student, I showed you the Pomodoro technique? So I'm in primary 5. I'm in SS1. Why should I say I want to study and use the Pomodoro technique? Number one, it boosts your concentration. So when you use Pomodoro technique, you know, oh, I'm studying straight for 25 minutes. Your brain is able to work with that than for you to sit down and you are reading indefinitely. If you do that, if you read indefinitely, one thing you really one thing you would have come to realize, let's be sincere, is that after a while you get distracted because there's no end time in mind. If I tell you now, if I say study 1 hour on a particular subject throughout your life, or just keep doing it and then you become a master, you get discouraged. But if I say study 1 hour on this particular topic for the next 5 years, you are going to be a master at it. What do? Because you have an end in mind, you are able to focus better. So Pomodoro helps your brain to concentrate. Then it reduces mental fatigue because at times, probably because we are preparing for a particular exam, we want to read and read and read and read. What happens is that we get fatigued. One major characteristic of a fatigued brain is lack of concentration. So when you see that you are losing concentration, most of the time it is not because you are lazy, it is because your brain is fatigued. Then another thing is that it enhances memory. So when you study for 25 minutes, 5 minutes that you are using to rest consolidates what you have studied. One of my previous lessons, I taught you how that sleep is important because sleep helps you consolidate your learning. So that is how it is too. 5 minutes consolidates what you have learned in 25 minutes. So it enhances your memory significantly. And then it also encourages discipline. So you know that for the next 25 minutes I'm seated, I am studying something. When you do that over time, it helps you stay disciplined with your learning process. And then when you are disciplined, you are not prone to procrastination. Your brain is not fatigued, you don't feel tired, you are quite focused, then it is easy for you to overcome procrastination. So how the brain learns? How do you think your brain learns? The brain prefers focused attention followed by rest. When you take an exam, they give you an exam that you write maybe for 2 hours and then they give you a break. Why do they do that? That is how the brain functions. So your brain functions by having focused attention followed by rest, right? Active focus stores knowledge in short-term memory. Rest allows the transfer of what you have stored in your short-term memory into your long-term memory. So let me say it again. Active focus or active focused learning stores knowledge in your short-term memory. So what happens is, I want to study the periodic table. When you sit down on it and you learn and learn and learn and learn for 25 minutes, your short-term memory is engaged. When you rest a bit, you are moving the very important information from your short-term memory to your long-term memory. That is how your brain functions. You agree with me that at times when you are studying for a particular exam and you read for an extended period, you go to that exam, or let's say fine, you are lucky, you are able to pass or do well. After a short while, maybe after a day, after 2 days, after 3 days, you forget virtually everything you read for that exam. It is not because your brain is weak. No, it is because you were only able to engage your short-term memory by having a long expanse of time for active study. If you want to engage both your short-term memory and your long-term memory at the same time, study for a period, take a rest. Study for another period, take a rest. Pomodoro helps you achieve that very effectively. Now, another thing that Pomodoro does is this. There's a way your brain functions. Everybody's brain functions like that, and we call it ultradian rhythm. Ultradian rhythm. Now, what is ultradian rhythm? In the course of the day, ultradian rhythm tells us that there are some times that we are better prone to learning than some other times. So let me give you some instances. For example, in your school now, if you check your timetable, you will see that there are some subjects that they prefer to put at certain times. So let's say mathematics in the morning. Hardly will you see mathematics coming after the long break. Why? They are trying to follow the ultradian rhythm because they know that mathematics engages a whole lot of reasoning and all of that. And then they believe that your brain is sharper in the mornings. So they put your mathematics in the morning because it aligns with the way your brain functions. It aligns with the ultradian rhythm of the generality of the people. That's exactly what Pomodoro does. And then you're now saying, oh, but I'm reading at 5 p.m. This is 5 p.m. I'm reading. Oh, what does that mean? Within that your 5 p.m. period, you have little waves of your ultradian rhythm. Pomodoro helps you achieve that. Once you focus 25 minutes, what happens is that a chemical reaction that happens in your brain spikes your level of focus. When you relax, it is relaxed. And the purpose of relaxation, like I said, is that it allows you to engage your long-term memory. So we have arousal, which is, oh, I carry my book and then I want to study. There's an arousal in your brain. Your brain wants to say, what's next? What's next? And then it moves on. When it moves on, you get to your top performance period. At that time, any small thing you read is coming in within that 25 minutes. After a while, you begin to see that you're finding it difficult to recall what you just read now. That's an indication that stress is coming in and then you need a recovery. So when you notice that stress is coming in and then you go in for recovery, what happens is you are starting another round of arousal. Pomodoro helps you achieve that naturally. So it aligns with your ultradian rhythm. It helps you understand things easily. Your brain loves Pomodoro. Trust me, because that it functions just as your brain works. Right? So it is very important that you do that. So aligning with your brain function, 25-minute study, that is active learning zone. 5 minutes break, that is brain consolidation zone, which is what ultradian rhythm teaches you. Active learning zone, 25 minutes, you are actively gathering information. And then 5 minutes is to consolidate what you have learned. So there's a consolidation. You have put everything in your short-term memory. Now there is a transfer to your long-term memory through a consolidation process. So it is like arranging books in a shelf, putting everything together, and then what happens? Long-term memory is engaged and information is locked in. That is exactly how it works, right? So what is the science behind Pomodoro technique? If you have read anything about your brain at all, if you have studied your brain, which I believe you should have because your brain is your primary learning organ. If you have done that at all, one thing is that you will be able to, you would have known by now that your attention span is usually between 20 minutes and 30 minutes per time. Usually between 20 minutes and 30 minutes. And Pomodoro suggests 25 minutes, right? And then another thing you would have known is that your brain likes breaks. Breaks that helps it to refocus and reset and also prevent burnout. So Pomodoro is exceptionally effective. If you can master it, it is effective. You can easily get whatever it is you want to learn under Pomodoro. It is easy. Can you use Pomodoro for every subject? You can use it for every subject. Although there are some other learning methods I'm going to teach you that might be more effective in some other subjects. But Pomodoro permits every subject. So for example, you can say, oh, for me, Pomodoro works for me when I'm studying physics, but when I'm studying mathematics, I prefer this other one. I'm going to teach you a whole lot of learning methods, a whole lot of learning systems. All you need to do, subscribe to this channel, and set up your notification so that anytime I drop a new video, you are alerted and then you come and see it. I'm teaching you virtually every technique, and not only am I going to introduce you to it, we are going to do practical sessions, right? So what are the challenges you can face when you are studying? Challenges you can face are: number one, you lose focus at times. Many people easily lose focus. What that means is that you were getting what you were reading very well, all of a sudden you just get so distracted, and then you spend more time trying to remember what you read earlier than you are spending on getting information. That is a sign of loss of focus. Another challenge you can have is long and boring study hours. They are just so long. You tell yourself, no, I want to go to the library and read 2 hours. You get there, you doze off, and then you are feeling bad. No, that's your brain functioning. All you need to do is to say, okay, fine, I see that when I go to the library 2 hours per day, I sleep off. So what do I do? How do I engage my brain better? Pomodoro. 25 minutes, 5 minutes, 25 minutes, 5 minutes. How do you spend your 5 minutes? I'm going to teach you. When we start the practical session, not in this video, I'm going to teach you how you spend your 5 minutes so that you actually go through that recovery. It is very important. And another challenge that you face is that you forget what you read. At times, it happens to virtually everybody. If you have not trained your brain, if you have not trained your memory, you forget. There's nothing like bad memory, but there is what we call untrained memory. If your memory is not trained, you forget what you read. So how does Pomodoro solve all these things of long and boring hours, loss of concentration, and forgetfulness? How does Pomodoro solve all of these things? Number one, Pomodoro is short. It is timed, and it helps your brain know that, oh, all I need to do is to put all my effort into this thing for 25 minutes and I'm going to rest for 5 minutes. Your brain wants to work, right? So it is short, it is timed. Then the breaks will always prevent you from being tired. So you don't get tired easily. And then the structure will also give you a sense of progress. There are times that you spend a lot of time reading and then you're like, well, what have I read? Because it doesn't seem like you're able to get anything. It's not because you're not smart, right? It's just because you're reading structure. You didn't structure your study. So you're not able to measure your progress. You don't have a measure for your progress. So you don't have a sense of progress after you are putting a whole lot of effort. Not because you don't want to appreciate yourself, but it is just because you haven't put that structure that Pomodoro will allow you put, right? So what do you need to be able to do Pomodoro technique? What do you need? Very simple things. Number one, timer. I would not advise that you use a smartphone. No. Because a smartphone in itself is a major source of distraction. So I'm not going to advise that you use a smartphone. Get a manual timer, like an analog clock, where you set your alarm and then it will give you bam, 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 bam sound after 25 minutes, right? So you need a timer, you need study material. So get your textbook. Get your textbook, right? So that's your study material. And then you also need a notepad and a pen and a study planner. It's very important. Because when you are studying under Pomodoro, it is also very important for you to jot things down and jot things down. So what do you use your jottings for? I'm going to show you. Right? So when do you use Pomodoro? When? Number one, when you're doing your homework, when you are preparing for exams, especially when you have so much to read, it will really help you. You'll be amazed how much you can read in 25 minutes. And you'll be amazed how much you can remember after you have broken this thing down into series of 25 minutes. And Pomodoro can also be effective when you are reading ahead. So you are reading ahead of time, you are reading ahead of class. You can also engage in the topic of Pomodoro. So now I've studied a lot of things about Pomodoro. I'm sure as smart children, you also want to go and do your own personal research. Maybe you want to get on Google to say, okay, fine, what is it about Pomodoro? My own personal research. So there are some misconceptions about Pomodoro. So let's talk about it, because you're still going to find it out by yourself. Number one, Pomodoro isn't magic. It's a strategy that you need to master. It is not something you just come across and then it's like you are putting it on yourself like a cloth. No. It's a strategy that you need to master. So it takes time for you to master it. when I teach you how to use it and you try the first time, you might not be perfect at it, but just like I told you, that's your brain creating neural pathways, right? What do? You keep doing it, and very soon you'll be able to master it. For example, no matter how much I have to read to prepare for an exam, no matter how short my time, I don't really fret because I have learned a whole lot of learning techniques that help me do it. Pomodoro is one of them. Several others I'm going to teach you, right? So it is a strategy. It is not magic. Number two, it is not a one-size-fits-all thing. Like I explained to you, I might prefer to use Pomodoro for mathematics. You might, after teaching now, you might say, "Oh, effective method," but I'm not going to use I'm not going to use it for mathematics. It's fine because it is not a one-size-fits-all thing, but it is a very, very effective strategy. It is a very, very effective strategy. That's why I'm going to dedicate 3 classes, 3 videos to teaching you about this. This is the first one, lay the foundation. Then I'm going to teach you how you can adapt it to your subjects. And then I'm going to pick a subject and pick a topic, and you will use Pomodoro together. Because it is extremely, extremely effective. So what are the common mistakes to avoid? So what mistakes do I have to avoid when I am using Pomodoro? Because at times you get carried away, we make mistakes because you are thinking, oh, let me get more efficient. That efficiency might not really be efficiency. Mistake number 1, skipping breaks. Please don't ever skip breaks. Don't say, 25 minutes, I still have energy. Let me go on. No, don't do that. Please. Be disciplined with it. 25 minutes, take your break. Skipping break is a mistake that many people do. So I've had a lot of students, I taught them, they use it, and after a while, you say, oh, how is it going? They say, don't worry, Uncle Seye. Now I take 15 minutes before I take a rest. I'm like, no. It's not going to work for you like that. Trust me, it's not going to work. Ultradian rhythm and the natural learning pattern of the brain, 25 minutes is just perfect for it. Don't skip your breaks. Number 2, don't multitask. When you break your reading into Pomodoros, don't do 2 tasks together within one Pomodoro window. Don't do that. So don't say, okay, I'm studying the first 20 elements, for example. So my first Pomodoro of 25 minutes, I'm going to study something on the first 20 elements, then I'll quickly do a bit of biology to complement it. It's not going to work. Don't multitask. Your brain works better when it is focused. And then number 3, don't set long sessions. Don't set long sessions. Keep it short. 25 minutes, 5 minutes. 25 minutes, 5 minutes. 25 minutes, 5 minutes. 25 minutes, a long break. Then when you want to start again, 25 minutes, 5 minutes. 25 minutes, 5 minutes. 25 minutes, 5 minutes. 25 minutes, a long break. Right? Avoid the common mistakes. So in the next class, I will apply Pomodoro technique to the major subjects that you take. I'm going to give you an overview, we'll go into it a bit, and you'll be able to have a clearer idea of this study technique. It's been my wonderful pleasure hosting you here today. Like the video, subscribe, tell your friends about it, and watch out for my next video, which will teach you how you can apply Pomodoro to your major subjects. Till then, enjoy yourself.